Morning, Jeff.
Morning.
Thanks for joining us today. I mean, to be fair, we are at your house, so thanks for having us. It's probably better. But yeah, fresh off a summer full of cycling, I thought we'd go for one last hurrah, have a chat whilst we're out there. So
Why not?
I reckon you've done 4,000, 5,000 kilometres so far, excluding training this year. So what's another 200?
Well, you've probably got more idea than me. I've got no idea when it comes to the technical side. How you fix even a just minor difficulties with a bike. Even a puncher, I
Really?
take about 20 minutes to do a puncher. So
just get on and start spinning your legs until you're told to stop.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Oh, that seems like a sensible move. So well, let's don the helmets and get cracking.
Let's go.
Yeah. So fair to say, beautiful part of the world once you get over the hedges. It's fantastic. So Jeff Thomas, Palace legend, now I wouldn't say reborn, but now living a very, very different life, going through all sorts of suffering, riding around everywhere. So what's the story behind that?
Well, I have to go all the way back to 2003. I was diagnosed with a form of leukemia and given just 3 months to live. And my first bit of sort of positivity was reading Lance Armstrong's book.
Oh, wow.
It's not about the bike.
Yeah.
And it was his cancer battle, and it just put me in a positive frame of mind for my battle. And cut a long story short, got to 2005, been told I went into remission, and you just want to start repaying the doctors and nurses who got you in this position. And a friend of mine who's a journalist said, why not take on the Tour de France challenge and follow Lance's what he's done, with his foundation, raised millions of dollars, and it all started from then.
Wow, is that still a friend after suggesting you do something as crazy as that?
Well, he's still involved actually. He's still, yeah, we've got close. He was. Neil Ashton is a journalist. He was a journalist for the News of the World back then.
Right.
Now he's gone on to work for Sky and the Times and various other publications. And he actually did the tour with me in 2005.
Right, just the once?
Just the once. He may. I'm thinking he's tempted to do it next year.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. So there is a next year, for the tour at least.
There is a next year.
Fantastic. And Cure Leukaemia, that's the charity that you work closely with and are the patron of. Has it always been Cure Leukaemia since 2004? What's the story with the charity?
The charity started in 2004, 2005, just as I was coming to the end of my treatment, went through a stem cell transplant. And Charlie Craddock, who saved my life really, he had a vision of sort of uniting the best people in the UK to work rather than work in isolation. Simple idea, I was surprised it wasn't being done. And so I started to really help him get that message out there, that what we were doing. And he was seen as a maverick back then,
right?
Because he wanted to change the system. And he was lambasted from various different angles, but it's proven right. It's proven what we're doing, so we're doing ever so well.
I guess from someone without a medical background, which is definitely me, what are you doing that's different? What's the process of Cure Leukaemia?
Well, he proved it in the Midlands in the first place. He came up from the Hammersmith in London to take over Birmingham. And he found out he had a population that was big enough to do trials by himself.
Right.
But he soon recognised that the population of Birmingham wasn't big enough to do clinical trials. So what he did was got Nottingham, Stoke, Worcester, and a couple of other hospitals to unite their efforts. And all of a sudden it leveraged about £35 million worth of free drugs into the system.
Wow.
Because the drug companies saw the opportunity to give their products a chance in that environment, that clinical environment again. So, and it proved that they could fast track the trials. And that's where it all started. So really, I went back to Charlie. We were doing various things. I said, we're not really making an impact nationally.
Right.
So then he sent me off to talk to various organisations, government, different bigger charities, cancer research. And in the end, leukemia and lymphoma research listened to what I was doing and took me on board for three years to prove this program worked. And then all of a sudden it became a national program led by Charlie, and his vision was being realised. And today now, Cure Leukemia are in charge of that program, and it's leveraged over £300 million worth of drugs into the system.
Wow. Wow.
That's what it's doing different to anybody else.
Different and significant by the sound.
And funding clinical research nurses, which was the missing link
Right.
in all this.
Fantastic. Fantastic. I mean, our experience with the charity is very fresh. You know, we've only worked with them for 2021. But what we do notice though is it's a very lean team with a very big impact for what you do. To have, I think it's 5 full-time staff members of the charity means that everything that you do and everyone else does, and there are thousands of people across the country that think very highly of the charity and want to get involved. The money really does go directly to where it's needed. On the radio up this morning, I was listening, and they were talking about 10 years to get through the cancer treatment backlog because of COVID. So I would imagine this year, or any year really, but it does feel like there's a heightened sense of urgency to, really accelerate the work that they're doing.
Yeah, because it's always been patient-led. It was me and another guy, Graham Silk, who started the campaign. Graham was here because he went on a clinical trial, one of the most successful in the world. That he had exactly the same illness as me, same prognosis, 3 years at best for Graham. He couldn't find a match to have a stem cell transplant, which I did. That's why I'm still here. So he went on this trial, and he's still here today. He didn't have to go through the trauma of all the treatment. And that's what the network is doing now. It's delivering on various different blood cancers that opportunity, and patients are living proof of the work that's going on.
Yeah, no, I think that's fantastic. And your involvement seems to, obviously it's been a long time, but as a poster boy is probably the wrong term, but the face of it with the network and the background that you've got. Do you feel like the charity is now at the exposure level that it should be, or is it still needs more?
Yeah, I think we always need more, because I did a talk for a pharmaceutical company last week, and they asked, why do you keep coming and keep going and doing various things? We lost a very good friend in Jeff Hill last week. He was editor and chief editor of the ITN News, and a massive Palace fan and a great friend. And he was waiting for a clinical trial, and he was just never got in a position to get that trial because he was too ill. Yeah. So while there's stories like that and people who are desperate for answers, we will endeavour to keep pushing and pushing harder, and because we believe we can eradicate blood cancer. It's not like putting money in a bottomless pit. Science is proven that we can beat it. It's just a translation of all that science.
Yeah, I think that's what I love as well. The clue really is in the title with Cure Leukemia. That's the mission statement right there.
Yeah.
And there aren't many organisations that could describe themselves in 2 words. And
it's worked. I mean, it's simple, and it was to the credit of Charlie and Graham when they set up the charity. They came up with such a simple title, because anybody who's searching, as I'm aware, when you're diagnosed with something, you start searching the internet, and the first thing you put in is Cure Leukemia. Yeah. And there it is, and we've got so many good success stories now that sits alongside the charity, that positive message that you're desperate to see, you find it pretty easily now.
Yeah.
So it's times have changed, so much for the better, but we've still got an awful lot to do.
For sure. I was fortunate enough when I was on the London to Paris with you, you know, the easy ride that you did this year, to meet a few survivors of blood cancer.
Yeah.
And the things that they had to say around the charity and the work that was done for them. And it's much like you, obviously, but not necessarily with the platform. It's what can I give back? And what an amazing place to be able to come and give something back, because the work just goes straight into the illness that they've overcome.
And that's it. That's why I say we've always been patient focused, because they've got the stories. And, you know, you see on the news every day, it's not, they don't want to listen to the science side of it, because, you know, people soon get bored of it. Everybody's got a cause.
Yeah.
But you listen to a patient and see what they've been through to get to where they are now. It's very emotive.
Yeah.
But you need to back that up with success, and that's what's happening.
That's fantastic. So this year was the Tour 21, and I think the rough stats were 25 amateur riders taking on 3,500 kilometers, so the full Tour de France.
Yeah.
No shortcuts, no easy ride, no e-bikes.
No,
just pedal
probably
power,
not.
blood, sweat, and probably plenty of tears.
It was, yeah.
How was it?
It was amazing. I mean, it's a challenge that I've taken on a number of times, but this year was pretty special. We set the target of £1 million. It ended up just being 18 of us, were 25 because of COVID. We're trying to hold on, I'm trying to change gears here.
Multitasking.
Oh, right. I can't speak and do things.
We'll put that down.
The camera in the way.
Football legend, cycling hero, can't multitask.
No, and we had 18 people take part, and for me, it is a grueling challenge. I put it up against like climbing Everest. It's an experience. You need to train hard for it. You need to mentally prepare for it, and then to watch people go through it, taking that challenge every day. And then some of the days are obviously, I think the word that was often used was brutal.
Yeah.
You know, you've got some stages that are so much climbing. Mountains like the Ventoux. I think one of my biggest challenge was going up the Glibé in 2005. I think that may be on the calendar for next year. So
really?
There's always something out there that is going to really test you. And
we were the guys that sponsored the stage, the Ventoux stage. And we had an option of what to choose, and I don't know, the sadist in me said, what's the toughest? Because that's the one they're going to remember me for.
Yeah.
But I can't imagine you probably saw the advertising boards. It was probably looking 6 foot in front of you at the tarmac for 2 hours at a time.
It was, it's a day that I don't think anybody will forget.
Oh, fantastic.
You come out of the woods and the forest with about 6k to go, and it's like on a different planet. It's like coming out on the moon.
Right.
Well, I think the moon, it doesn't have much of an atmosphere. It hasn't got a strong wind.
Hasn't got a headwind, though.
But the wind was blowing about 40 miles an hour.
Oh, wow.
And it was just, no, it was tough. It was tough.
So 18 riders completing it to raise £1 million. I mean, that's a serious milestone for just about anyone, really.
Yeah.
But I think a leap forward as well this year over previous years in the numbers that were raised.
Yeah, massively so. And also we've had COVID to contend with it as well. And the charity were brave in many ways of keeping the options open of doing the challenge. Because there was a lot of pressure on riders wanting to know if it was on, if it was off. It was only 2 weeks before we got the green light with the French sort of lifting restrictions.
Was there a part of you hoping that you might dodge it for another year, getting another 12 months of training?
To be honest, I trained probably harder than I'd ever done for this year, thinking it was my last one.
Yeah. Well, that was the word on the street, wasn't it? That it was the last one. But you know, I guess I'll put my hand up and apologise for potentially bringing you out of retirement again, because you are doing 2022. We are doing 2022.
We are doing 2022, yes we are.
Fantastic. And I haven't released the route, but I'm told that there's never an easy tour. I'll be lobbying for it to just do a few laps of the Netherlands instead. Nice and flat, a few windmills.
Yeah, I mean we're starting in Copenhagen, and I think the first 3 days are going to be okay, to be honest. And then I think because of Copenhagen, I think we've got a rest day early.
When you don't really need one necessarily.
When you don't really need one, but
right.
yeah.
And then they'll make up for the easy ride.
I'm sure they'll make up for it. I'm sure that's the danger.
Yeah. So October the 14th, the route announced, the team announced. You'll be part of that. I mean, I do feel a little bit evil, a little bit good about myself bringing you out of retirement to get it done, but I don't think you would have retired anyway. I mean, this is...
To be honest as well, I would have done. Without doubt, I would have done. But there's some exciting times ahead, and I think, yes, we had a discussion, and there's reasons why I'm doing it again after the discussions I had with you, but there are other reasons why I want to do it again next year.
Yeah.
We're on the cusp of doing some amazing work with the charity, and it'd be great to be a part of that, for sure.
Fantastic. I think you'll always be a part of that. I didn't necessarily think you'd have had to put yourself through it again, but I'm glad you're there. It's from everyone I've spoken to that did it this year.
Yeah.
They said it's easily the best thing they've ever done. These guys have, you know, lived some interesting lives, but they've also said it's the hardest thing they've done. So to have someone like you there,
it's like
wheeling me up the hills.
What they all said was life-changing as well.
Wow.
You know, like I said earlier, that's my thing now. Oh, I'm out of breath.
Not quite Von 2, but it wasn't steeper than I was expecting.
Big ring! No, it's just watching everybody put themselves through it. What we say at a charity, we really don't want people to be touched by the illness,
Right.
to get involved. You know, just do an event with us.
Yeah.
Enjoy it. And the byproduct of that is everybody has a good time. But the main thing, raising money for a great cause.
Yeah. Well, the London to Paris was a very different experience to the tour. What a great event that was. So well organised, and for anyone that likes a cycle, to be able to get in a peloton and not have to stop for roundabouts,
for
crossroads. French drivers would sooner bury their car in a hedge than hold up the flow of any cyclist, which is quite the opposite of what we tend to find in the UK. What a fantastic event.
Well, that event has been going on for numerous years, and it's been described in various things, but I think the best way is summing it up was a friend of mine who said it was like a 4-day stag party on a bike.
Yeah.
And it is that you've got different speed groups, and sometimes you make the wrong decision by deciding to go in a fast group after maybe a few too many pints the night before.
Yeah, there's nothing that blows away the cobwebs quite like 70k downhill in a peloton when you don't really feel like you're up to it. But yeah, and I think this year was obviously a lot smaller for that. We only had about 100 people on the ride.
Yeah.
But next year it's opened up for even more, is that right?
Yeah, we're probably looking to about 200 people next year.
Wow.
I mean, we could, I think with the response that we're getting from it, we couldn't even go bigger, but it's the bit of magic is getting people to all bond together.
Yeah.
So sometimes you try to get that. So I've done it on a corporate event where we had about 450 take part.
Wow. It's a lot of strangers with that, whereas I think with certainly this year, you know, everyone I'd spoken to over the course of the days. And
get to know everybody.
Yeah, it's fantastic. So I can see why you want to keep that, because that really was a big element of it. And to start off with, you know, 99 strangers really on day one.
Yeah.
To end up with an awful lot of friends at the end of it. And, you know, we're a few weeks past it now, and the banter going on Strava is still pretty phenomenal.
Yeah, yeah.
And definitely got some training groups together for that as well. So,
and that's what it's like with the tour. You know, you're together with 21 days cycling, and you're watching everybody. Most of the people just have a bad day.
Yeah.
And then you rely on your teammates. And I said before the event, we're individuals at the moment. We become a very close team. But I think we went past that with the tour this year. We became a family by the end of it.
Nice.
Everybody was really looking after each other. There was personal stories away from the tour itself that really came to the fore. And it meant an awful lot to everybody, I think.
The tour this year was probably much more heavily media covered than previous ones, with the US TV channel getting involved.
Yeah.
Did that change the dynamic at all, or has that changed the sort of the aftermath of it?
The aftermath is it's world renowned now. ASO, who put the tour on, was so delighted with the event. You know, and that's credit to Joe, out to the charity really, because they had guidelines with their logo, where to use it, where not to use it. And with what we did this year, I think next year is going to be bigger and better.
Wow.
Because their support is going to be greater, and I think we've already extended that partnership after what we did last year. And we've already mentioned Neil Ashton, who did the tour with me and followed my story from day one. He was a big part in bringing all the media to it. His connections with NBC and Eurosport. You know, so we've got people from America applying to do it on the back of that next year. So yeah,
wow.
I just can see this event growing and growing.
That's a big step, isn't it? Taking it international then. Fantastic.
Next left.
As well as me making a rod for your back, you kind of made a rod for mine, because I had an expectation that my charity race commitment would be 50 grand. Now that wasn't enough to bring you out of retirement.
No, it wasn't.
And it was a pretty swift bidding war to get from that to the number that we ended on and shook on. So I've got a £100,000 target. Fundraising starts the moment this video goes out, that's for sure.
Yeah.
And I've already been pleading with friends and family, and also I think illustrating that it's not your normal event. This isn't a marathon. You know, this is a marathon every day for 20 days. This is something big. So I guess this is my plea to the audience of this to follow the link that's invariably going to be at the bottom of this, and please give what you can, because my training has started. It's going to be about 8 months of, well, just lonely evenings on a bike, either indoors or out, and yeah, we'll see where it goes. But yeah, thanks for stitching me up a little and getting us to that level.
We've got to contend with the bin man now.
Let's have a...
Oh, he's letting us go.
Oh, what a guy.
No, but I think the event is like an iconic event.
Yeah.
You know, everybody, even if you're not ridden a bike before, you know how grueling the Tour de France is. People ski, and they know how tough them climbs are going up in a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, yeah, I think that's where you gain the support, and they'll see what you're going to be doing to take on the challenge by committing so many hours training as well. You can't just rock up.
No.
And do this. It's a painful experience, but it's like anything in life. That line between pain and the thrill of doing something is so close together.
Right.
And that's what you experience when you're doing any mountain. Just getting to the top of every mountain is the story in it. So
let's just hope it's not Ventoux twice again.
That would be cruel.
That would be, wouldn't it?
That would be cruel.
Wow. I have to say, if this is the last day of summer, or the last few days of summer, I feel less shortchanged about it all, because I mean, July and August were rubbish, weren't they? But
They were.
this last few weeks has been amazing. Right, another what, 100, 120k, and we'll call it a
We'll
day.
call it a day then,
Yeah,
shall we?
fantastic.
We'll have a coffee then, shall we?
Yeah, I think we'll have earned one by then.
Yeah.
Good stuff. For that, Jeff, thank you for coming out, agreeing to spin the legs again. The last thing you wanted to do probably was pick up and get on the bike, but well, you're back on it now, so.
No, the thing is, people think I'm a cyclist. I always claim I'm not. But
I'm not buying that for a minute.
But I love doing what it does. Cycling brings people together from all different walks of life. And just watching them do a challenge is just what inspires me.
Yeah.
And like I keep saying, the end game is raising a substantial amount of funds for amazing people who can make a difference to so many people's lives. So that's what it's all about. So I'll turn it round as we finish. Thank you for taking part. Yeah, thank you for committing to raising such an amazing amount. You know, we aim to surpass that £1 million target next year.
Yeah.
We don't want to stand still as a charity. We always want to keep moving forward.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
Upping that figure is going to be a part of it.
Absolutely. You know, this is. I'll be dragging people along as well with that number. So now, from Hamilton Court's perspective, we're just chuffed to be alongside Cure Leukaemia. It's always nice to be involved with a charity, but I don't think many people get to be this involved and be this up close and personal. So you know, we're really happy.
Well, you've
with
got
it.
no choice when it's only a small team.
Yeah.
Doing amazing things. You become part of that team.
Yeah. Absolutely.